Okay, so let me go ahead and introduce the panel, and then we'll let them get started. First of all, our moderator is going to be Carter Griffith. For those of you who are following the agenda carefully, you'll notice that Carter is not Eric Hinkle. So Eric Hinkle with Marlin was supposed to be moderating the panel for us today, but he had to jet off to Europe unexpectedly. But Carter, who's the CFO of Urjanet, is going to moderate the panel for us today. Carter actually comes to us from TRX, where he was also their CFO, and while he was there, he had responsibility for energy procurement and corporate sustainability reporting, so he's actually well suited to moderate this panel. Also with me, Robert Ferry from Cox Enterprises, Bill Moyer from UPS, PJ Newcomb with Coke. It's a great panel, so have at it.
Excellent. Good morning, everybody. Delighted to be here with you and to have you all here. As many of you know firsthand, and as Francis so eloquently described earlier, efforts around energy efficiency, sustainability, and climate protection are sweeping over businesses like a virtual tsunami. Now, this may seem obvious, but to me it is truly remarkable. A mere 10 years ago, sustainability was not a core component of most companies' strategies. In fact, if I walked into a boardroom and mentioned sustainability, I might be met with an eye roll or perhaps even outright laughter. Fast forward to today, thankfully, organizations are viewing their businesses through very different, very green lenses. Companies are completely re-examining their energy use practices. They are investing billions to innovate ways to reduce environmental impacts while also delivering increased value to customers. These topics are front and center within boardrooms, annual budgets, marketing collateral, and of course, long-term strategic plans. Like a wave that permeates whatever it touches, energy conservation is everywhere. And so, the goal of this panel today is to discuss what is driving this momentous sea change within the world's largest companies, where that change might be driving us, and of course, how the ride feels along the way. So, we ready? All right, well, let's get started with a sense for where things are today. Have your companies made public statements about sustainability improvements? And if so, how have your customers and internal stakeholders responded?
Yeah, I'd like to add that, Coca-Cola is a very complicated system, and last summer we announced a new set of 2020 global goals that are related to sustainability, and it's not just the planetary things. We've got what we call the me, we, and the world. So we have a social dimension, a personal wellness dimension, and environmental dimensions. But even the environmental goals, there's 8 of them, and they're very aggressive goals, and this happening at a time when we're attempting and strategizing within the system to double our system revenue. Okay, I'll repeat that. Coca-Cola, a 125-year-old company, is trying to double its system revenue in a decade. I mean, that's an aggressive goal, and then we've layered on some very serious sustainability goals on top of that. And we partner with our customers like McDonald's and the Walmarts of the world because we cannot do it alone. So it's being well received, and our partnerships are what help us get us there.
Thanks. Yeah, from UPS perspective, I guess I would, a couple things. One, I'm glad PJ referenced kind of the 3 parts of the sustainability conversation. I mean, there's obviously the environmental that plays into the, the energy and the energy efficiency and those sorts of things. There's also the social dynamic, and then there's also the financial, if you really want to talk about it from an overall perspective. Those things really, from UPS's standpoint, are the balance points that you're trying to achieve from a sustainability standpoint. We published our first sustainability report back in 2002. We feel we've been very active in the space for many years. We just published our 2013 report in July of this year. Great website, lots of information across all aspects of sustainability. Strongly recommend you looking at it to kind of get a sense of where we fit and what it is that we're trying to do. Received in the marketplace very well. We conform to all the standard reporting of what is considered to be a proper exposure and transparency on the things that you're trying to do across all 3 sections. And we, even within our own stakeholders internally, you certainly see an increased awareness and understanding of what the company is trying to do from a responsibilities perspective.
Thank you, Robert.
We recently announced our new initiatives for Cox Conserves. That's our sustainability initiative as a company. It's going to be carbon neutral in the next 25 to 30 years. water neutral in the next 25 to 30 years, and zero waste to landfill in the next 7 to 10 years. It's been very well received by our vendors, our customers, and in fact, we held a sustainability summit meeting at our corporate offices about a month ago, and our vendors came and talked about the things that they're doing, and also what could we partner together to help them with their sustainability initiative. So it's been a really great initiative for us.
Okay, great, thank you. So earlier presentations cited 4 main drivers of this global wave of energy efficiency efforts: financial performance, customer expectations, government regulation, and sustainability itself. Have any of these drivers in particular been a catalyst for your company's commitment to energy management? Bill, how about you? What's driving UPS to conserve energy?
Well, my role historically, at least in my years with the company, it's been on the facility side. And if you look at the facility side and talk about the 4 items that you referenced, for us, I would have to say it always has been and continues to be financial. We are pathologically efficient within UPS. We've are a very well time-studied organization back into the 40s. So you can go back and look at how we built buildings in the 70s, and it's not a new thing for us. I mean, we wouldn't put the fixtures in if we didn't need them, and we'd put the most efficient fixtures we can find. We've done lighting upgrades dating all the way back to 1992 holistically across the U.S. And those, are really driven from a financial perspective. The government regulatory piece obviously plays into the space. Sometimes that opens up avenues to do different things, like solar, which we have done. And it also plays a lot in the other piece that I'm not an resident expert on, which is our fuel side when you're talking energy. Obviously, we are huge consumers of fuel, whether it's in our airline or in our package cars and our fleet of trucks. So there's a lot of regulatory conversation going on there, which is pushing what we do in some respects, in that space. But just on the facility side, we feel we've always been very efficient because it was our mindset from the start, and we've always been engaged in trying to improve those things.
Robert?
We run a lot of the projects that we do through a model, and return and the financials are very important. And it's a combination of funds, dollars that we have to allocate to projects, and it's also looking for opportunities in states and utilities, combining those funds to make the projects work. And it could be a number of things. It's lighting retrofits. We've done fuel cells out in California. We have about 3 megawatts there. We've used a couple of different technologies. We fuel those with biogas. So we're always looking for ways to reduce our carbon footprint and make our locations more efficient.
I'd like to add that we do a lot of our projects because they make financial sense for us. We've talked about a lot here today, and I know you guys live and breathe this stuff. If you can reduce your energy bill, that's something that goes to the bottom line. But I want to say that our global sustainability program is driven by our license to operate concept that we heard about earlier. We have this license to operate that we need to pursue, we need to maintain, because we're a global company, but we're locally relevant. We operate in every country. We have 1,000 manufacturing and bottling facilities across the globe, and we've got to maintain that license to operate. So the financials actually often drive us to where we do specific projects. But we also do things that don't necessarily make bottom line financial sense, like our goal to be water neutral. We also have a very similar goal by 2020 to be water neutral. That actually costs us money, and so we don't always do it for the immediate financial return.
Right. As a CFO, I expected the dollars to be the major motivator, but let's explore some of those other factors, like as you guys began to, specifically consumer attitudes. So those views towards sustainable brands are rapidly changing. Today's consumers, especially millennials, value companies that support sustainable processes, products, and that make an investment in current and future generations. So how have consumer attitudes shaped Coca-Cola's commitment to sustainability, PJ?
Sure, thanks for that. We listen to our customers. And when we're constantly doing research to understand what our consumers want from us, and that is, of course, in our products and our offerings across the board. What package should it be in? What should the flavor offerings be, et cetera, calorie options. But also, what do they think about sustainability? What are they concerned about? And what they've told us that they're concerned about in order are water is number one. Water's number one. Packaging is number two. I mean, if you look at, by the way, this is a commercial. This is a wonderful product. Dasani, Coca-Cola makes this. I don't know if you know that, but consumers hold this in their hand, and they hold a package, whether it's a cup or a bottle, a can, and the main ingredient in all of our products is water. So they can relate to that very well, and they give us that feedback that those are two things that they're very concerned about. Energy and climate, it's embedded in here, but it's hard for them to relate to as much. So we take those signals, and we have designed our sustainability programs to be responsive to that. Our number one concern is water. Our number two is packaging. Number three is energy and climate. And it's in that order, and it is the same order as our customers.
How about you, Roy?
So we are doing quite a bit of work around the customer expectation side of it. As part of our announced goal set, we do have the community as well as the food highlighted as some key pillars that we're focusing on. So we know how do we continue to move the needle on sustainability in these areas that are visible and tangible to our customers, because that's really where we get graded on at the end of the day, because it is something that's more tangible, more forward-facing to them. In my role in terms of saving energy, it's not a lot of customers. It's very hard to sort of put that in front of customers. So, and we're scratching our head trying to think, how do we message that as well? So again, that we get the benefits of all of our efforts in regards to all of the 5 pillars that we are focusing on.
Sure. On the customer side, we certainly are seeing an increased awareness. We get an awful lot of requests to fill out questionnaires about your sustainability space and those sorts of things. People are asking the questions. They want to understand your commitments from a responsibility perspective. On the transportation side, obviously, there's no solar airplane, so to speak. So there's a carbon content out there that we have to deal with. And we did come out with a carbon neutral product some years back, one of the first to market with it, where we will offset the carbon cost. It's a certified type of a program for packages. And so, we have seen growth in that piece and the increased awareness, arguably more so overseas, but certainly increasingly so domestically.
I'd say one of the ways that we are able to touch our customers is through our retail stores, Cox Communications, for example. And what we've done is provided reusable bags, opportunities for them to bring in electronic recycled e-waste, so that they can bring those into our locations. And the other thing is branding some of our trucks. We recently partnered with our freight provider, and we have a CNG tractor trailer that goes from Wichita to Omaha, and we have labeling there that lets our customers know, and anybody that's having to drive on that interstate, let them know what Cox is doing.
Well, shifting from motivators from the carrot to the stick, government regulations can be a large motivator for energy programs. Many companies go beyond mere compliance to make sustainability a key part of their long-term strategy. Robert, can you talk for a little bit about how government regulations have impacted Cox Enterprises?
Yeah, I think this really, and it fits into that zero waste to landfill piece. We see states looking at food waste, starting to put some bans on certain things. Massachusetts, Connecticut, Vermont, City of San Francisco, New York City. In 2012, the EPA did a study that says 35 million tons of food waste is going to landfill. So, we looked at that and we said, we have 55,000 employees. We've got a lot of cafeterias. And what can we do? I didn't bring my lunch on stage. I'm just going to show you a couple things. So at our corporate office, we put in a SOMAT machine. And basically, this at one point was lunch. And we have one of those machines, and basically it's centrally located in our bottom of our corporate office. But this material is compost. It is picked up by a composter. It's actually used by the DOT in fertilizing and things like that along roadways. And the other one, this is, it was probably a lunch combo or something at some point a few months ago. But this is a material from a dehydrator. So this started out as around 125 pounds of food waste. And this is just a portion of it. But it drives it down into an inert material that can be used as animal feed supplement or even fertilizer. So we're really excited about that program. We did that in Mannheim, Atlanta, and we've rolled out 10 composting programs at other parts of the country.
Okay, great, thank you. Bill, government regulations?
Kind of cuts both ways, I guess. Sometimes they open doors for you, like what goes on the solar front. Others, they tend to hamper you or give you some challenges. We are seeing more local Energy Star requirements. Local governments requiring you to register your facility through Energy Star. Not easy with a special purpose facility like a parcel distribution center. It's not a standard that's within the Energy Star program, so you're kind of forced to do a lot to kind of make that conform or get the information in properly. Obviously, within the fuel space, as you said, that the natural gas trailers and all sorts of alternative fuel vehicles that we are heavily involved with because of what's going on in the natural gas and the fuel space, relative to regulation or energy security and those sorts of things.
So real quickly, obviously, like all you guys out there, we try to stay ahead of the regulations and let our sustainability programs be out in front of that, so that compliance is just the mere floor of what we're doing. But sometimes, to Bill's point, the regulations give us some challenges. There's there's actually a draft proposal from EPA right now to outlaw HFCs, hydrofluorocarbons, as refrigerants in coolers and vendors by January 1st of 2016. It just so happens that Coca-Cola has a goal to be 100% transitioned by December 31st, 2015. So they took a hard look at us and they said, oh, well, Coca-Cola's doing it. Let's just make it a law. And we said, guys, there's some challenges involved in this. And while we are out there innovating, please don't make it illegal the day after our goal. It's a goal, mind you. So anyway, so we're trying to stay ahead, but sometimes it comes back on you too. You get out there and innovate, and then they make a law out of it. But the Energy Star is another good example, and related to our coolers and vendors. It's a quasi-regulatory environment, and trying to move our refrigerant systems to natural refrigerants while also continuing to apply, conform to the standards expected by Energy Star. It's a challenge.
Yeah, those are great points. There's a lot that you have to balance to make this equation work. And we're fighting pretty hard to try to stay ahead of the curve. I'll tell you, it is a challenge. These things are change on a day-to-day basis. And then sometimes when we can get a preview further out, then we're trying to work on those things a little bit sooner rather than later. So, clearly we've got our work cut out for us.
Great. Let's talk a little bit about the ripple effects of all these efforts that your companies are doing. Often companies suggest their energy conservation commitments help enable them to attract and retain top talent. Are you seeing that at UPS, Bill, as you compete for talent in the marketplace?
I certainly am seeing an increased awareness on the folks we bring in within this sustainability awareness, so to speak. And they are certainly intelligent, capable people. I really can't speak to whether what we've done is attract. I think if you want to get into the sustainability space and you like logistics, then we are attracting those people that want to come in and work within that space. But exclusively to sustainability, we really can't speak to that.
How about you, Robert?
We see that it ranks really high with our employees, our younger employees, and so we've given them, opportunities like the Ocean Conservancy, American Rivers, to partner with those organizations and be volunteers. We've also done a solar program for our employees out on the West Coast, and that's been very successful. Here at our corporate headquarters, we provided premium parking spots for higher efficiency vehicles, and even offered electric charging stations. Now, the interesting thing is that a lot of people started to get electric vehicles, and we have a limited amount. So you're seeing some jockeying for position and things like that to make sure they get charged. So it's exciting to see that, but we definitely see that as something that's important to them.
We do have a significant franchise bottling operations system. That's what most of our bottlers are, is franchised. We do own some of our bottling operations, but most of it's a franchise model. And really, we provide support, expectations that come down on our global goals. Here are the things that you guys are helping or need to help us achieve: reducing the carbon of the drink in your hand, reducing your energy use ratio, which is our measure of efficiency on a megajoules per liter. I know that's very European, but we are a global system. But bringing those things down, and we track it, we report it, we put it on a bar chart or a histogram from left to right, and they see where they are. Give them some motivation like that, but supporting also. For example, we partnered with the World Wildlife Fund to develop what we call the Energy Top 10, and it's just the top 10 things that we realize that every bottling plant could be doing to drive their energy use ratio down. So we don't, it's not audit by audit, facility by facility. It's here. If you do these top 10 things, we promise you will lower your energy bill by an average of $250,000 a year. And it's part of just a better run culture and mentality. So we provide support, tracking, governance, those sorts of things.
Within our franchise operations, we've been reporting on the transparency side within sustainability, our Scope 3 emissions in that space for about 3 years now. The reality is it's a very small footprint for us. I mean, when you look at a UPS store, you're talking about a 1,100, 1,200 square foot storefront. You got some point of sale computers, you got some lights, you might have a heating and cooling system. There's not a lot on the energy footprint side to deal with. We support them in promoting the carbon neutral product and things of that nature. We do report their usage, but like I said, it's not a very big footprint for us.
Well, we don't have any franchise locations, but we do have divisions. And one of the things that we've done, Mannheim in particular, it's part of Cox Automotive, is come out with working groups. So it's really, it starts at the corporate office. It's actually employees who want to participate. It's really kind of a competition to be on these committees. And it's around water, waste, energy, and fuel. And it's been very effective.
Well, I think we've got some questions from the audience, and we definitely want to take advantage of those.
Yeah, we do. So this is an unbelievable panel, by the way, for all you guys to think of some questions to ask. I mean, I don't know how often you're going to get 4 people like this up here ready to take questions, but we already got some interesting ones. And PJ, let me preface this question by saying when you work for Coke, you're in the hot seat sometimes.
I know.
So this question is, we saw some stark pictures in Francis's presentation this morning. I think some had to do with people questioning Coke's use of water in foreign countries. What comment would you make about Coke's response to all this?
I thought this was an energy conference.
Yeah.
Our water resources guy would be a lot more familiar with this, but this does go back to our license to operate that Francis was talking about. It's a big deal for us. We recognize that water is a shared community resource. We recognize that everyone has a fundamental right to a clean water and sanitation. And so the things that we're doing to try and address this are to be sensitive to where there are water stresses, be they quantity or quality. in the communities where we operate, and understanding what we can do to mitigate that. That is part of our water neutral pledge that we have by 2020, going out into the watersheds with the communities, with partners, and seeing what we can do to make the water systems more robust and more sustainable in every community where we operate. So that's one thing we're doing. That's outside the walls. Inside our walls, one of our 2020 goals is to drive our water efficiency another 25% improvement from where we were in 2010, which was already a 20% improvement. So we're trying to make sure that we use less water in, as minimal water as we can in the product, and then what we do use in the product and its production, going and putting that back into watersheds and replenishing that.
Okay, great, thank you. And yes, this is an energy conference, but our audience apparently has a wide set of interests. And so, Roy, someone in our audience asks, what measures is McDonald's taking to make their food healthier as compared to Chipotle?
Wow. Wow. What time is it? I gotta go. Again, I'm not, there's experts on this arena beyond myself. But what I do know is we're continuing to focus on how do we drive more nutritional content into the food, how do we have better and wider selections around fruits and vegetables. I don't know that the core menu is going away anytime soon, but we know there's all kinds of other things around it that we can do to help improve the nutrition of the food that we sell.
Okay, great, thank you. And then someone in the audience, Robert, has a question for you. What has your return on investment on efficiency and conservation look like for these various projects that you described?
We've done extremely well. I would say that as we look at across the board, all of our projects, we're looking at in excess of 20% return, and that's looking at a lot of different categories. I mean, that might be energy efficiency projects, fuel cells, so it's a number of different things, but that's right in the ballpark there.
Okay. This question will be a jump ball for the panel. You can all chime in if you like, but it's a good challenge to you. What is the one innovation in the energy space that we should expect from your organizations in the coming year?
Well, I can speak from the waste side. And we'll see how it goes. I was recently in Europe looking at a waste technology, and in fact, after this conference, headed to California to look at another waste technology. But that's the kinds of things that we feel like we need to do is really dig deep to find out who are those companies out there that are coming up with innovative technologies and products. And so I don't have an answer of what it's going to be this year or next year, but we're looking at a couple of things that look pretty promising.
Okay.
I can't tell you the answer because it's real secret. But no, I would suspect that there will be something on the fuel side that I think excites people. That's where I think you'll see something in the near future.
Okay, we'll be paying close attention.
In the carbon space, let me say that we do have a goal by 2020 to reduce the carbon of the drink in your hand by 25%. The largest component of that, by far, is the packaging. So the embedded carbon that's in the packaging. So as we continue to drive the packaging innovation, which is a big deal, because like I said, I think there's one sitting in front of every one of you. What you have there is a plant bottle, and the plant bottle is 30% made from plant materials, and the other 70% is traditional petroleum. Well, we have been working for years already and are continuing to push to get that Generation 2 plant bottle, which will reduce the carbon footprint even more. So packaging is a big area where we can pull some serious levers.
Okay, great. This is kind of a fun question, Bill, for you. Will UPS be delivering a package to my house with the use of drones, and how energy efficient would that be?
I would not think so in the near future. There are, everyone's familiar with that conversation, I think. I mean, it's neat sounding stuff, but there's some real technical and regulatory issues that play into trying to fly drones into neighborhoods and deliver things. I think it's kind of one of those things out there that Certainly we're looking at it. We're looking at it, in a lot of different ways. But there's a lot of risks associated with trying to make that happen anytime soon.
Okay, great, great. Other questions from the group? Just raise your hand if you have a question for these panelists. Yeah. Here's a mic right here for you.
We've been talking about profitability and sustainability. How intuitive is it to corporates? How easily do they see profitability and sustainability?
Okay, do you want to direct it to one particular panelist or just to the group at large?
Mm-hmm.
I'll kick us off. One of our biggest challenges that we have in sustainability is capturing the things that are not easy to capture. I know that sounds kind of crazy, but it's easy to say, hey, we reduced 100 million kilowatt hours of energy usage last year, or however many millions of therms of natural gas, and that translates to the bottom line. So these are the easy to calculate ROI on these sustainability projects. Where we're really having a challenge is going to the top line and saying, what does it mean to our brand reputation, the customer's intent to buy our products, and how do we monetize that? That's a frontier for us that needs a lot of work. We're not familiar with anybody who is doing that well, and if you are, I want to talk to you, because we need some help with monetizing that. As a matter of fact, we're a part of a working group with a few companies and just thinking about this, but that's a real challenge for us is going to the top line. Our marketing is very good at that. They know what they're going to get for the new Taylor Swift Diet Coke campaign, right? They make calculations. They've got advanced PhDs working on that. What does it mean if we support the Super Bowl, at $5 million or whatever? They know what they're going to get on that, but we don't know what we're going to get for the next generation of plant bottle. What is that going to do for us?
I think the challenge with the question starts with how you view sustainability. What does it mean to you? I bet you if we asked this room to give me an idea of what sustainability meant to you and what you think someone should be doing about it, I'd get very different answers depending on who you were. I mean, the challenge is, in my view, is in that balance of the financial, which how intuitively obvious, well, can be, can't be, depends, and the environmental, which is obviously a very important part of that conversation, and then the social dynamic. What matters to Coke on the waterfront is entirely different than what matters to us because of what it is that we do within our process. I think it's intuitively obvious that people want to be involved with responsible companies that are looking at these things and doing these things, but the financial dynamic may not be intuitively obvious if you don't have a good understanding of things like total cost of ownership. You make references to LED lights in the, out in the parking lot. Well, guess what? I mean, yeah, they're a lot cheaper to run, but they're also much cheaper to, not have to replace, on the maintenance side. So it's not as intuitively obvious, but I think part of that challenge is because what means sustainability is different with different people.